the bigger people for the football.
Well, that's tough to do sometime when people are pounding on both sides of you, too. Well, Brayton sure has the ability, the leg, to be able to kick a ball this far. It's just a matter of accuracy. If he can get one in there, hook it just right, it'll go through.
30-yard attempts coming up. Ball on the right hash. And Brayton being a right-footed kicker, this should be a fairly easy kick for him to convert, assuming that the snap is good and the placement by Stacy Young is good. 38 seconds left. We've got whistles as Brayton tries to go ahead and kick it, but the referee will stop play. Illegal procedure Mustangs, 5 more yards. It'll make it a 35-yard attempt.
Somebody must have lined up offside. The only way that I can figure on that, Joe, is when they wait right until almost the ball is snapped, and there must have been a head offside, or somebody, or not enough people lined up on the line of scrimmage.
Maybe somebody picked up a hand early.
Could very well have been. You've got, when you're in a situation where you're backing up to block and a protection of a kick, you may pick up your hand a little bit quicker than you would if you were firing out.
Snap good, and Stacy Young places it down. The kick on the way. It is short. Missed it by a couple. I think that penalty caused that field goal to come up short.
Boy, it looked like it. If they'd have been up there another 5 yards, it would have dropped over that bar instead of just going under it.
So the Bearcats will take over on downs. The Mustangs thwarted on a scoring attempt with 33 seconds left to play in the half. They're comfortably ahead 20-0. And I imagine they'll back up in some sort of a prevent defense here.
Oh, I'm sure they will. They'll bring everybody back. You know that either the Bearcats are going to try to run out the clock, or they're going to try the Hail Mary type situation, spread people out and try to throw to them, get Matt Kopp, the free safety, back there deep and let him play center field.
If I'm Battle Creek Central, I go back and throw, or you're out of the ball game. And Hadley slips but gets away, and a host of Mustangs over there to bury him.
Boy, Doug Roberts showed his versatility. He was inside. He was able to go over there, make the initial hit after Hadley had scrambled a few times. There were a few hits earlier, but I mean the initial hit that really tried to stop him.
And Polderman, whose name we've called a number of times tonight, in on that tackle, and Battle Creek calls timeout. Coach Knight will jog up onto the field. He's in his 17th season as a Mustang head coach. 5 conference championships and a couple of victories in the playoffs and 1 state final appearance. 91 wins for Bob Knight and 63 defeats in his career here at Portage Central.
Done a heck of a job. I can't believe it's been 17 years, but he came into a program that was down so far that bottom looked up. It took him a couple of years to get it regrouped, and from then on, Portage Central has been a perennial threat to anybody that they play.
A winning tradition here. Players expect to win, the parents and students expect to win, and I think winning breeds winning oftentimes.
Boy, it sure does. If you look at the sideline, when we get those pictures of the sideline, we see how many kids are out for football. A lot of them not able to play a whole lot on the Friday nights, but they play all week. They work hard. They know they're going to get in there sometime just because, and they just want to be part of a program.
2nd down and 1. They give Hadley 9 yards on the last carry. He'll roll out again and be sacked again. Roberts, also Canerva, also Eaton. Take your pick. Mark Brewers. Again, Battle Creek will call timeout. Hadley gets buried for the 2nd time in a row. 9 seconds left.
You know, for a minute, Joe, when Portage Central missed the kick, everything's going back. You think, well, there's a little bit flat now. They fumbled. They didn't quite get in to score and everything. You think, well, they're going to go into that. Even though they're ahead 20-0, they're going to go in a little bit down. But then the defense picks them up like this, with shutting them down, the big sacks, and all kinds of other exciting things like that, where they can go in just as excited as if they'd scored.
Oh, certainly. Defense trying to say to the offense, you can't have all the fun. We want to get our licks in. We haven't been out here very much.
Boy, that's it. You're right. That's the whole key. They haven't been out there very much, and so they're so fresh and so excited to get in and make the big play, and that's all they've done is made the big play.
And if you're Battle Creek Central with 9 seconds left, I think you sit on it and try and go in and regroup at halftime.
Boy, I'd be with you on that.
We'll see if the Bearcats agree with us. And they do. What do you know? Miller has some running room, but Kopp quickly up to drive him out of bounds. Or Randy Buller, actually, not Matt Kopp.
Excellent play by Buller, too. Boy, kept his shoulders square the whole way. We're talking about a running back that was, like you said, second in the conference. real fast, got the great moves. Buller just kept himself square and let him make all his little moves and jukes and whatnot, and then squares up and makes the pop and actually pushes him back.
And did not take the inside fake. Just said, okay, you can't go inside, drive you to the sideline, use that as an extra defensive player, and we'll give you 5 or 6 yards, and that's exactly what he did.
Heads up play by Buller. Yeah, go ahead and go inside if you want to. I'm not going to fake. I've got 10 guys in there to help me. You come on outside where you and I'll meet.
We've got another timeout. I can't imagine Battle Creek would call timeout, so we'll assume that Bob Knight is using his third with maybe trying to get another crack at this before the end of the first half. It's 4th and 9. Can't imagine that Battle Creek Central will line up in punt formation, so all they're going to do is snap it and fall down. But we do have a timeout on the field, and that'll give me an opportunity to say that you can see Portage Northern take on Okemos next Sunday night. That game will be the tape delay of the Northern Okemos game, which will be played a week from Friday, the last regular season game. You can see that game Sunday night at 7 or Wednesday night at 8 on cable channel 31. And Hadley wants to drop back and throw the bomb as time runs out. And I think Matt Comp might have picked it off if he hadn't run into the official.
Boy, he slipped a little bit in that muddy field, and then he got right in the way of the official, or otherwise maybe he would have picked it off.
So Portage Central with a very impressive first half of play. They scored the first 3 times they had the football, and they take a 20-0 lead into the locker room at halftime. So Jeff Vine will kick off. The Bearcats still haven't learned anything. They're still way deep and leaving a huge hole in the middle, and we'll see if Vine can drop it down there. And he does. They have to come up to field it. Good return.
Boy, it looked like he slipped a little bit in the best part of the field on that situation.
Tim Robertson, one of the tight ends on the return. Battle Creek will start things in good field position here in the second half. 1st and 10 on their own 27.
Boy, you mentioned that Battle Creek is still way too deep in terms of the way that Jeff Vine's kicking. You'd want to get it to the fastback in the middle, and even when he does kick it sort of back there, it's one of the tight ends that gets the ball.
And for the first time tonight, we see the power eye, and they give it to the deep back. That's Miller, but he doesn't go anywhere. Munson, one of the Mustang defenders, in on that tackle. He was the man on top. Let's see who gets up off the bottom. I think it was Roberts. They give him a yard. It'll be 2nd and 9.
This power eye situation is something that Battle Creek has gone to in the last, the last 4 or 5 games. In fact, Coach Knight expected to see mostly that right from the start. They must have had a little bit of a different scouting report at the start and thought they could do something different. But now they're into that power eye, a little control football, and see what they can do.
Well, maybe they're trying to get an extra blocking back in there to try and open up some holes. And as I say that, they pitch the ball out. Miller tries to cut it back in where he's buried. Chris Norman and Doug Roberts again, and a face masking penalty may be the call against Portage Central here. Chris Norman, Bruce Eaton in your picture. It was 2nd down and 9 when that play began, and Hadley will accept the penalty against the Mustangs.
They're in a situation when they go in that power eye where they're going to use both those backs, or most of the time use both those backs in what we call a wham play. In other words, they'll double team down on the nose guard, run both of those backs up on the linebacker, and let the good quick back make the moves and get into the backfield. If not that, they'll do the same thing, but they'll move one play out, and they'll do it against the tackle. They'll double team on the tackle, kick out in the end, and do the same thing.
Now they've got a little bit more room to move around now as the face masking penalty gives it 1st and 10 on the Bearcat 42. This time they'll throw to Ridley, and it's intercepted by Terry Martin, and he is knocked down by his own man, Bruce Eaton.
Great play by Martin. He was right in the right spot. One thing I talked with Coach Knight about today was that the quarterback for Battle Creek Central will do a read just like that. If Portage Central is in a certain defense, they throw that pop pass. If any team is in a certain defense, they throw that pop pass. He was well aware of that, and obviously he told Terry Martin and the rest of the secondary to watch for that, and Terry was able to step right up in there and make the play.
Well, really double coverage. Martin on the outside, Eaton on the inside, and it was the old tip drill. Martin tipped it up in the air to himself and caught it. It'll be 1st and 10, Portage Central on their own 45. Marty Williams gets the call, struggles forward close to the 50 before he's wrapped up. Tuggle on the bottom of the pile there. Spencer, number 11, on the stop.
may look for Portage Central right now, just go into their basic veer offense. Run a little inside veer, a little outside veer, and then run that little counter play in there. Get Battle Creek guessing all of the time and control the football just like they did in the first half.
Well, to start the ball game, Portage Central drove the length of the field to score, and this is their first possession of the second half, and they've got the ball at midfield. This time the call goes to the second back through. Shane Springman, who started the first half, starts the second half at left halfback. 3rd and 4, gives Springman a couple. Dargis out, Martin back in as the Mustangs shuttle the wide receivers in and out. Stacy Young and I believe it's Chris Norman is the other tight end at the top of your picture. Double tight formation. The feet at the top of your picture are those of Martin as Springman gets the call and gets close to the first down before he's wrapped up.
Boy, on your screen you can see that Springman did a little bit of a juggling act. That ball kind of caught him on the hip. He got his left arm down there, pulled it back up, all while he's still running ahead full speed. No hesitation, no, he's not even looking down, just kind of feeling for the ball and pulling it right back where he needed to be in order to get that first down. I'm sorry, first down.
They gave it to him. 1st and 10 Mustangs in Bearcat territory. Portage Central leads it 20-0, just underway here in the second half. And that's going to be motion on the quarterback, Dan Knight. Perhaps he either forgot the snap count or was expecting the ball and it didn't come up.
Dan thought it was going to be one count before it was. You could see him. He started to pull that back leg out, realized that nothing was going to happen, and of course that would break up his cadence. He can he can move just a little bit, but it probably, the cadence break up, moved somebody in the line of scrimmage, and that's what caused the penalty.
Well, they're right back at it again. It'll be 1st and 15. I think, though, they call the penalty on Dan because sometimes if quarterback bobs his head up and down, they'll call him for that. So certainly if he moves his feet, they're going to call him for motion.
Boy, that's right, Joe.
Springman is crunched by Richard Smith, all 250 pounds of him.
That's Steve Pewitt.
The interchangeable back slipped in on me.
Boy, that's right. I was just wondering if Steve was hurt tonight or what the situation was, but Steve's right in there. Boy, a high-powered little man, a lot of quickness, the same mold as Shane Springman, of course, and he can explode on any play.
Now, Richard Smith exploded into him, and the Mustangs picked up just a few yards. Knight will roll right, look for some help, overthrows Marty Williams out of the backfield. Knight trying to dump the ball over the linebackers and in front of the defensive backs, and that's a tough pass to throw.
It is, especially on the run in a situation like that. Dan, in fact, probably had 2 different receivers that he could have thrown the ball to, but it's hard to see over everybody running that way and looking over helmets and trying to make sure that you're going to sink it into the right area, because if you throw to a defensive back in that situation, it could be 6 points the other way.
3rd and 12 as Doug Roberts checks back in for Eric Russell on the Mustang offensive line. And we'll run the same play again. Only this time Knight throws downfield for his tight end, overthrows him, and it's intercepted by Battle Creek.
Boy, Coach Knight may have saw exactly what we did, Joe, and that is that both the receivers were open. Dan Knight put the ball right in there, just happened to slip right through the receiver's hands. The defensive back was back, out of position really, but was able to make the diving catch, which a good athlete's going to do.
Walbeck on the interception, perhaps redeeming himself for that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that was called against him late in the first half, as the Bearcats will stick with the power I, and they'll keep it on the ground to Miller. And again, he has no running room. Polderman, Kalinsky over there. Also Kanerva.
The situation here where your scouts have really helped you. Coach Knight, of course, as I mentioned before, talked about exactly what they do out of that power I. I think that he's told his players, and they know exactly where to go. And whichever way the blockers go, the lead blockers go, Miller's going to go behind them. Let's put everybody in there and let Miller try to run through all the massive humanity.